Hey folks, welcome back to another edition of the Monday Morning Mailbag. Noah and I thought that we'd kick off 2026 with a dedicated episode specifically for our manufacturing partners, highlighting the importance of extended producer responsibility through the Powered by Polycarbon story and how you can take a data-driven approach to product differentiation when adopting closed-loop resin. Plastic circularity represents the single greatest opportunity our industry has to enable sustainable innovation. The reason why: scientists, we produce about 20 times more plastic than the average American. Really shocking, but anyone that's worked in a lab, probably not that surprised. Our industry as a whole, 6 to 8 million metric tons of this waste produced every single year. And these plastic consumables, they actually constitute 25% of the total emissions produced by the life science sector. So once again, massive power lever that we can address through circularity and specifically the Powered by Polycarbon module.
And I think a big take-home message from this slide is that the rate at which we use plastics, they're not just a pollution problem, they are a climate problem.
So the Powered by Polycarbon partnership offers manufacturers the ability to integrate closed-loop resin isolated from closed-loop recycling into their products, conferring a differentiated product portfolio and much more sustainable lab consumables. So main value propositions here for you as a manufacturer and for your customer base. Number one, quite obvious, integrating closed loop resin, creating a closed loop resin product portfolio, it reduces plastic waste. The next, a bit more abstract, it reduces fossil fuel consumption by displacing the need for otherwise virgin resin in your supply chain. That ultimately reduces upstream carbon emissions. But for the customer, most importantly, producing products powered by polycarbon transforms the customer's consumable budget into a sustainability budget at no additional cost. This resonates with labs that want to be more sustainable, but don't necessarily have the funding for it.
I want to really emphasize that final point, which is that the very act of buying the consumables you need on a daily basis is a contribution to your sustainability goal for the customer. That is a really important point to emphasize.
So, for you as the manufacturer, partnering with Polycarbon, a portfolio powered by Polycarbon, it promotes extended producer responsibility. This term, this act really, is your organization taking responsibility for the plastics that you provide to customers at the end of life, integrating them back into your supply chain as a closed loop resin, as a feedstock for now this differentiated product portfolio.
Yeah, to hop in there, your role does not end at taking Polycarbon's closed loop resin and using it to manufacture products, but rather connecting the customer with Polycarbon so they have the opportunity to recycle that material on the back end. You have a financial, sustainability, and practical interest in making that connection because our collection of that material fundamentally feeds the next generation of products you produce.
You as a manufacturer can track this impact on the carbon counter dashboard by being able to see what was sold to which customer, the carbon emission reduction achieved, as well as the impact of any closed loop recycling that your customers end up participating in.
And an important point to emphasize is there are more customers in the world that can recycle with Polycarbon than perhaps can use your product. And so Polycarbon has access to an enormous network of customers that we want to help you access in order to improve the circularization rates and Powered by Polycarbon market penetration together. So that is our job as a partner to you to help you access more people and make them more aware of the more sustainable products you're bringing into the market.
So, how does the Powered by Polycarbon partnership work? Well, multiple touch points that enable a stronger relationship with you and your end user, but it starts with the Powered by Polycarbon product portfolio. Consumables made with closed loop resin with a fraction of the carbon footprint. This creates a relationship for you to engage with laboratories beyond the transaction and ultimately to integrate not only a more sustainable product portfolio, but also closed loop recycling where it makes sense. Polycarbon provides through these partnership channels not only pipette tip box recycling, but general rigid lab plastic recycling, PPE, and much more. Now, the stickiness factor. Every customer that you work with can track the impact of their sustainable procurement through the carbon counter. What's more, they're also able to do the same thing for closed loop recycling. The carbon counter, as you all know, is an ISO compliant dashboard that tracks not only the carbon emission reduction achieved through sustainable procurement and recycling, but also 6 other key environmental KPIs. Powered by Polycarbin products are quite literally the embodiment of circularity. Labs get to participate in the fruits of their labor when closed loop recycling by purchasing products made with this closed loop resin, your products. But when we say that this product is the embodiment of circularity, what we really mean is that each product is imbued with sustainability data that's backed by an ISO compliant life cycle assessment, specific to our supply chain, specific to this material used as feedstock to produce the next generation of consumables. Through point of sales reporting, Polycarbin can actually track with you the amount of plastic that's being circularized through purchasing these specific consumables. And both you and your customers, once again, can track recovery rates of these products through the Carbon Counter dashboard. Now, what I really want to highlight here is that this is the fruits of their labor when it comes to closed loop recycling. These products are them participating in that next phase of circularity and sustainability. This is distinctly different than the pervasive souvenir recycling in our industry, whereby a participating laboratory may receive a park bench or a paint bucket as a demonstration of the work that they did to recycle. This partnership goes far beyond that, integrating back into their daily purchasing decisions where they choose to procure products produced with closed loop resin that serve them day to day at the bench. So coming back to the Carbon Counter dashboard here, how can you leverage the life cycle analysis data that we've created through the Carbon Counter to your benefit? How can your customers do the same? The Carbon Counter dashboard ties directly into many of our customers' ESG, CSR reporting today. And it's also used by manufacturers to help assist with ACT label certification or use this towards SBTI initiatives. We see this pervasively now today. You can utilize this data to your benefit as we embark on this Powered by Polycarbin partnership to ultimately expand your brand differentiation, better serve customers, and really quantify the sustainability benefit of the consumables that you're selling to laboratories today. So I think it's really important for us to know our customer. Why do these folks engage with Polycarbin? Why do these folks now engage with you as you launch these Powered by Polycarbin product portfolios? Scientists, they're end users. They're recycling plastic products and now holding, with your product portfolio, consumables made from these materials, made from closed loop recycled resin. It's an opportunity to now take that partnership one step further and actually participate in this more sustainable, more circular ecosystem.
This is their highest pain point as well. When they look at the lab bench and they see a red bin filled with a bunch of pipette tip boxes, that is the pain point for them. They know that there has to be a better way to manage this material. And so understanding that by buying your product, they are participating in a system that is better, that produces a better outcome, and ultimately helps them innovate in a more sustainable way. You are really helping resolve the highest pain point for them.
Now, the benefit of this partnership is that your touch points within a strategic or key account goes far beyond scientists or even procurement. It stretches into lab operations. Circularity is not only recycling, it's also sustainable procurement. And you'll see that a decision to purchase a product produced with closed loop resin will ultimately also resonate with EH&S, sustainability divisions, as they track their own Scope 3 emission reductions, as they are responsible for sustainability certification, and as they look for consolidated sustainability reporting. Beyond that, procurement, this one's a bit obvious. They're always looking to engage their suppliers for Scope 3 reduction. But most importantly today in this market, they will now see that through the purchase of this product at no additional cost commitment, they can drive sustainability with defensible sustainability claims. And then finally, at the level of the executive leadership, the business ownership, the decision to purchase a Powered by Polycarbin consumable made with closed loop resin, ultimately confers to these executives brand leadership, helps build culture internally. We've previously discussed this on other episodes. And it's also going to serve them as they manage their own ESG and CSR disclosure and targets.
I want to add one more point to that with these last three categories in particular. When these groups are thinking about how to apply a budget to address sustainability within their institutions within their buildings, they're thinking in terms of replacing -80s. They're thinking of expensive capital equipment. If you can get the ear of these individuals and tell them, look, all I'm asking you to do is switch which pipette tip boxes you're using, and you will be able to target 25% of the total emissions coming from this building. That is an incredible opportunity to sell. And that applies to EH&S sustainability, procurement, and especially the executives. When you tell them, don't spend more money, just change what you're using, and I can help you deliver these sustainability goals, it's a big win.
In any commercial strategy, distribution is quite key. When you sell powered by Polycarbin products, your sales process, your customer engagement is going to be more robust. When it comes to distribution, you're going to stand out more through recognized elevation channels that exist through distribution, like the ACT label certification, like the environmentally preferred product portfolio offered by Avantor, and like the sustainable by design product portfolio by Thermo Fisher Scientific. Beyond that, there's obvious demand in the market today, not only for circular products, but to engage in closed loop recycling. There's a benefit to you all in this process because closed loop recycling ultimately pulls through more product sales. Today on the carbon counter, all of our customers are not only able to track the impact of their closed loop recycling, but are continuously engaged to prompt their interest in closed loop lab products that are powered by Polycarbin. And finally, the most exciting evolution here. When working with Polycarbin in this partnership, you're going to be able to take advantage to our unique market insights based off of what our customers produce to better target opportunities to sell your differentiated consumables. We know what our customers are using. We can target with our partners where they should focus their time and effort to convert key accounts to more sustainable, more circular laboratory consumables. I think it's really important to contextualize this. Lots of folks in the market today recognize that sustainability is a differentiator. However, new products are brought to market that may not stand up to the same sustainability claims that Polycarbin can help you achieve by integrating closed loop resin into your supply chain. So we want to walk you through 3 of the most common. Over to you, Noah.
Yeah, the 3 most common types of competition in terms of existing solutions in the market are post-industrial recycling, bioplastics, and compostable alternatives. And so we'll start with post-industrial recycling. Most people do not know what this is or what it refers to. Most of the time, it is referring to excess plastic components that are a byproduct of injection molding that are swept up from the floor, thrown into a granulator within the same warehouse, and then put back into the injection molder to produce a new product. Now, this is a great process for increasing the efficiency of the utilization of the resource. But according to the FTC, it does not count as using a recycled feedstock because the material that's coming back in to be incorporated into the product never served an intended purpose. It was just waste product. Now, this compares to post-consumer recycling, where a product went out into the market, served an intended function, was recovered, recycled, and then used as a feedstock for new manufacturing for a second use cycle. Now, not only are these categorized differently by the FTC, they are measurably different in their sustainability impact. Post-industrial is going to be a recycled feedstock that ultimately improves the efficiency of the initial use cycle, whereas a post-consumer feedstock is going to create a new use cycle, thus resulting in lower CO2 emissions, lower fresh water consumption, lower total fossil fuels consumed, because it, at the end of the day, is displacing the demand for more fossil fuels. Another one that comes up in the market a lot is bioplastics. Now, we would need a whole 30-minute presentation to discuss all the different types of bioplastics that are covered under this term. But the most common one we see in the market is something called bioattributed. In this instance, a used cooking oil or vegetable oil source is used upstream in the process of producing new polypropylene, polyethylene. And what you need to understand about this process is even if you start with used cooking oil instead of crude oil or liquid natural gas, it still needs to go through some of the most energy intensive steps of plastic manufacturing that cause over 75% of the CO2 emissions produced in that process. And so just thermodynamically, you are starting behind the most energy intensive step. And that really caps how sustainable the process can be. It can be 20% less CO2 emissions produced than using fossil fuels, but you're going to be fundamentally capped in how sustainable it is by the fact that it still has to go through steps that ultimately polymerize, depolymerize, and isolate the monomeric forms of these plastics. Now, the last one is compostable alternatives. I think there's a lot of interest in this one because it sounds natural. It sounds almost self-evidently sustainable. But composting is a unique process and a pretty strict process. And if somebody makes something compostable and they do not give you the opportunity to compost it, as in they don't supply the services to compost it, they're asking you to go figure it out. And if you don't know what you're doing with composting and you say, well, compostable just means it can go in a landfill, that's fundamentally wrong. If you take a compostable product, put it in a landfill, and it gets buried underground, broken down anaerobically over time, it's actually going to produce more methane than CO2, which is a more potent greenhouse gas, and on net be a worse process for managing the material than had it been just plastic thrown in a landfill. So the caution I give to individuals that are investigating compostable alternatives is, one, is the person providing the product that they allege is compostable, is it actually compostable on an industrial level? Two, are they giving you an opportunity to take that material back, and are they taking the responsibility of composting the material, or are they asking you to go figure it out? And three, if you do compost it, where is it going, and is it actually going to be meeting the standards of that commercial composting process? And so, unfortunately, even though composting sounds like a good solution, in most cases, it's not a practical solution.
All right, folks. And with that, we'll wrap up 2026's first Monday Morning Mailbag. Thank you for the time.
Thank you all.